He don't need you today, bro. He don't need you. He don't need you. Come on. He don't need you.
I just shared the show, so they watch the dance.
I'm Kobe. I've been hearing you guys wanted me, so I'm going to take over my Papa show. We're going to be talking about cash flow and money. So, yeah. Okay, are you ready?
Man, what you doing? What you doing? Gonna take my show over? You just like, hey, you just gonna come and take my show over? Is that what you gonna do?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I should have done this years ago. You see, I'm ready. I got my hair cut. I got me some fresh shoes.
Hold on, man. Hold on, man. You can't just come jump in and take over my show, bro. You got it, man. Hey, man. It's something to this, bro. It's something. You can't just, man. Get your microphone, bro.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Get your microphone, man. You could be the co-host today, though.
I'm
gonna let you do that.
host.
Is that cool?
You're the co-host.
Okay. So I'll be the co-host today. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll play the co-host, but I'll help you get through all of this. How about that? Does that work?
If I need help.
Oh. Come on, you get on up into this microphone, man. So you've been after me about this. Good evening, good evening, good evening. And this is your co-host.
Wait. You mean me? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Boys and girls, it's Kobe here. I know you guys been wanting me. Cause, come on, I'm me. Come on, I'm me. Come on.
All right, let me introduce the show, man. So for those of you who are joining for the first time, this is your host. We got Kobe Walker on as the host today. I'm gonna be your co-host, Joaquin Thompson Sr. We coming to you live from Lilburn. We're coming to you live from Lilburn, Georgia, which is right outside of Atlanta. And this show is about personal finance and everything. And we believe that we're going to talk about personal finance in each and every week. This is episode 104. So episode 104, we're going to do like we've been doing for the other 103, and we're going to talk about personal finance from a spiritual perspective. We don't do religion on the Daily Bread radio show, but we always do one thing, and that's God, right? So everything that we're going to do today and going forward and everything that we've done, looking behind us, it's always been about that. Just that one thing, and that's God. So and tonight, we got our special, special host in the studio, and we're going to talk about cash flow. We're going to talk about a little bit about money. We're going to talk about fun, and we're going to talk about just the whole process of how a board game could be a metaphor for life. Because, and my grandson, this is my grandson, 8 years old, and he's been after me about, oh, okay. He's been after me about, coming on the show. He's really, really interested in, things that we talk about on the Daily Bread radio show. I mean, he's done some of my promo material already, and each week he's telling me that, oh man, thank goodness, oh, y'all gotta call in, man. We got rid of the pen. I knew it was gonna be. I knew it was gonna be. It knew it was gonna be just like the '80s. When you come out with that, I knew when they came out with that credit card, that calling card with that pen, and everybody was running up. That only thing they need to do is they just need to get your pen and run. I knew the same thing was gonna happen here. The number to the show. Call into the show 678-381-1973. Are you gonna tell me the number? 678-381-1973.
You forgot.
678-381-1970. 678-381-1973. So, man, y'all call into the show tonight. Let us know what y'all thinking about. Let us know what you want to talk about. But tonight we're going to spend a lot of time, and we're going to talk about cash flow, right? So we got this game, and we've talked about it before, cash flow. But like I said, my host wanted to come on and share some thoughts with you about what he wanted to do and how he wanted to do it. So we're going to do that tonight. We're going to, and this is really about, this is something that we talked about on previous shows, which is, it's about legacy, right? It's all about legacy. So the good thing about legacy is, if we start to teach our kids early enough and young enough, so we got the producer over here, we got nephew, Tavon, you got the controls?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So we got, this is the takeover show. We got Kobe, Kobe the host. Tavon the producer over here.
I'm the co-host.
You the co-host? I thought you was the host.
The co-host and the co-host.
Okay, and the co-host. Okay. So we're gonna be taking calls 678-381. Man, I'm so glad. I'm gonna take this off of here too, man. This is just, I guess I can't. I get to tear the speaker up. But yeah. So we just want to bring on a couple topics, and I got some stuff that I want to talk about. Kobe got some. What you want to talk about? I'm gonna let you kick it off, man. What you want to talk about?
I should have been kicked off.
Well, you got it.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
I'll just start. The floor is mine.
Okay.
I want to talk about cash flow. The person who made he actually has a book.
You got to speak into
Poor
the
Dad, Poor Dad, Good Dad.
Rich Dad.
Rich Dad, I mean.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. you should go check him out. I think he's really good at this stuff, and so cash flow. There's like a rat race, just like in life. You get kids, the market. Doodads have to buy stuff for your kids.
So
you get opportunities. There's big opportunities, like small and big. But the small ones are easier, just like in real life. But what I wanted to say is that if you have an opportunity, you should take it.
Wow.
Because because it's just, you might not have that opportunity again. So yeah, but it's harder to get the big deals. But if you work hard enough, you might just get it. So yeah, then there's the rat race.
So let's talk about some of the stuff that you brought up, right? Because you done brought up a whole bunch of stuff. The listeners, they giving you the thumbs up. You see how they love you. You sending them hearts out there. But you brought up a lot of stuff, man, that we want to talk about. So let's start at the bottom, and then we're gonna
bring
go
it up to the top.
We're gonna bring it up to the top, right? So the first thing we want to talk about, which was the rat race. So the rat race is something that many people are in, a lot of people want to get out of the rat race and get into the fast lane, right? The
To
fast
get
track.
up to what you want to do. Say, like, I'm playing this already, so I can grow up. I already know what to do when I grow up. So, like, I have stock. So when I grow up, I just can get money for college or a house. And then, since I'm already learning this as a kid, I'll know this like at 18. All this at 18, 10. Maybe not. No, not.
So what he's talking about is something that we've talked about again many times. It's about our legacy, right? So what this game teaches is it talks about the rat race, but when you're in the rat race is just showing you have paychecks. You know, people get paid bi-weekly. Some people get paid weekly. Some people get paid monthly. But what the rat race teaches you is that unless you have a strategy in life to get out of the rat race, then you'll continuously just go in the rat race over and over and over.
And never get in the fast track.
And never get in the fast track. So we're not going to talk about the fast track right now.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
We're going to hold.
Wait, you have to watch. Watch to the end.
So we're going to hold up on the fast track, but let's talk about the small opportunities. Because again, in life, the key to the game, or the basic foundation of the game is this. We have to start off and understand the difference between an asset and a liability, right? And the biggest error that most people make is buying liabilities that they think are assets. Now, Robert Kiyosaki, this is the same author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. He is the developer of this game. Now, I know a lot of people play Monopoly. We grew up playing Monopoly. Monopoly was cool. Monopoly showed you a lot. But this game, to me, this is just my personal opinion. This game, Cash Flow, is 10 times better than Monopoly.
Cop out on my opinion.
Sure.
I feel like it's just like Cash Flow, just
Yeah,
like
speaking
what
to the
you
mic.
said. I think it's just like Cash. I think it's just like Monopoly, but just 10 times better because it teaches you about life. In Monopoly, it's not that. It's just like a family game, but you can play this. Like you can play this with your family. You can play this like with your whole family to teach them about like what you're gonna like those little ones. Like to teach them what they're gonna run into in life and stuff like that.
Okay. So that's the whole thing. It's like what he said, we sit down and we can play these games, but as you playing Cash Flow, the difference between Cash Flow and Monopoly, one of the biggest differences, and we've talked about this several times on the Daily Bread Radio Show, is Cash Flow, you start off with something that's called an income statement. Now on your income statement, this happens to be Kobe's income statement, where he was and you start off with a profession.
Airline.
So you start off and they give you a card, and you dealt the card at random. So you don't get to pick your profession, you just given a profession. So in this case, Kobe was an airline pilot, and his income, what type of income, what was your income like, or your salary?
My salary, it was $9,500, but for some reason, air pilots, they don't get that much these days. So you guys gotta fix that. You know what I mean? Fix that.
So the airplane, I mean, what it teaches is that even though that's your salary, and then you also have your expenses. So what type of expenses do you have?
My expenses, my taxes are $2,350. My home mortgage payment is $1,330, and school loan payment 0 because I have no kids. My car payment is $300. My credit card payment is $660. Retail payment $50. My other expenses are $2,210.
And $10.
And 10. You're not supposed to put an and.
Ooh. You know, you're not supposed to put an and. So it's just $2,210.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I said that. Guys, just don't correct me. I think I'm doing good so far.
So you're doing good. You're doing great,
Yeah.
brother. You're doing great.
Size
So we got our income.
0. Low payment, none. Just none.
Okay.
Because I'm savage. Yeah. I'm savage. Yeah.
So at 8 years old, what we're in the process of doing is playing the game, but at the same time, income and expenses are things that never go away. So that's something that you're gonna have with you for the remainder of your remainder of life, right? It matters not how old you get to be. You could be 60, 70, 80. I know some people and some family members, even in their 90s, even at 90, right? You still are gonna have either income and or expenses because you need that in order to sustain life. You're going to have family members that can help you, but at the same time, you want to be able to plan for that. Now, the other thing that this game teaches you is the importance of getting to a point where you can create what's known as passive income. And the reason that you need to create passive income is this. In order for you to get out of the rat race, meaning all of the expenses that you have on a monthly basis, you're going to have to get to the point where you can create passive income. Now, the difference between active income and passive income is this. Active income is when you get up, you go to work, you work a certain number of hours, you get a certain amount of pay. Some people call it linear income, but that's also known as active income, meaning that you have to go out and create it in order for you to produce, right? Or in order for you to have income. Passive income is you've created something, you've created an asset that creates additional income for you. For example, in this game, they show you how to purchase stock. They also show you how to purchase homes that you can turn into rental properties.
Casinos and just casinos and stuff you need to like you can get casino, you can get like
What else you got? Duplex.
Yeah, you can get a duplex. Yeah, like I got one that's 2 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and it was a pretty good deal, decent deal. But of course, it was a good deal for me because I was rich. But unlike him, because he was a janitor, he didn't have no money.
So what we're saying is that the other part to this game that it really teaches you about is the power, and we've talked about this many times on the Daily Bread Show, the power of saving. The power of saving, because if you're not saving 10%, and even more than 10%, you really should be getting to the point where you can, over time, get to 20% and then to 40%. Because what happens is you're going to need to save money in order for you to take advantage of opportunities. So in this game, what it does is you have the opportunity. When you land on an opportunity, you get to, similar to Monopoly, you get to choose a card from that deck. So if you want to do a small deal would be like house for sale, 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom. The mortgage is $47,000, but the down payment is only $3,000. So it's some reality in that, because a lot of people want to go out and buy a rental property, or they maybe just want to buy a property that they want to live in initially, and then later on rent out. But you need to be able to save $3,000. So a lot of times that may end up being a hurdle for some people because, you know, they're spending everything that they have coming in. So this is a life lesson. So that way, if you start to look at the power of saving and why you need to save, and some people may say, well, hey, I can't save $3,000. I'm gonna give you a quick number. If you save $10, let's look at the numbers. If you save $10 for 1 year, every day for 1 year, you would have $3,650, right? So if you need a 3% down payment on a $100,000 investment, so if the investment is $100,000 and you need 3% down, you would have $3,000. So you could do that on $10 a day. So $10 a day could be a cup of coffee. It could be, you know, something that you're doing, or you eating out for lunch. But then you could get that $3,000 and now you have an asset, and now you're creating a passive income, but your passive income may not be a lot in the beginning, but it's $100. So you're getting there. You're getting there. You gotta get your head out your shirt, man. You on TV, bro. You can't be doing that. So that's one of the things that we want to talk about. So let's talk about the big deals. So
Can I
let's,
talk about the big deals?
you can talk about the big
Alright,
deals.
alright.
Tell me about the big deal.
The
Something
big
like
deal,
that.
Just like he said, you have to save. In cash flow, I usually save. Then I usually, sometimes when I have enough money, I just go all out for it. Like one time, it was stock and we got this offer and it was $40 for each dollar. So that was good. Since I had like, I don't know how much I had in total.
You had 1,000 shares.
Yeah, I had
At
$1.
$1.
Yeah, I got like $1. Wait, this isn't on this paper, because this is a different game. So yeah, Papa. You can also give the opportunity to your other player, but he has to give you the money to get it. So that might also work, so you can get a big deal after that. Like say if it's $80,000 and he wants to get it, I can just give that to him. Then the next deal he'll be broke and I'll be able to get a big deal. So you have to think about the trades.
So with the big deals, what he's saying is that when you get to the big deals, like the big deals, when you choose one of those cards, those are things like shopping malls.
Yeah, mall for sale.
Right, somebody's selling a shopping mall for sale.
Or a house for sale. 3 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms.
So you can have those in a bigger one. And then other things are things like duplexes and apartment complexes, because again, in life, what's starting to happen is, and we're seeing this within our economy, people may start off with one house, but then they get to the point where they're able to afford 2 houses, and then they get to the point where they can afford, say, a 3rd house. They may sell all three of those investments that are assets that have cash flow, and then take that money in order to buy a bigger deal. Because many times with the bigger deals, you need a bigger down payment. So just for example, this one is, you could buy a small shopping mall, right? The cost is $150,000, but you need a $50,000 down payment. And you may be saying to yourself, like, why would I need such a large down payment? Because it's commercial property. And on commercial property, there's different rules and different terms than on residential property. So residential, you can get away with 3% down, 4% down, 5%. But when you start getting into commercial real estate or commercial investments, a lot of times they want to see 20% down, 25% down, in some cases even 30% down. So you want to make sure that you are strategically putting things in place so that way as you playing the game and the game is going along, and I'm talking about in life, that you're starting to take that first step, start some savings first, and then as you start to save and you have more money, then you can invest. You can buy that first property, then you get your first property, you say, okay, I'm getting the hang of this, I had to fix it up a little bit, but now you got a tenant, and then your tenant is paying the rent, and then you have cash flow, because cash flow is what? The difference between what you have to pay for the investment and what the tenant is going to pay for the investment. So you may, between your property, between your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, what they call PITI, that might be $700. But if you put a tenant in the property for, say, $1,000, now you cash flowing $300. Of course, you got to take out for maintenance. You may have some other things go wrong. You had to replace a toilet, but it don't matter, because not only are you getting cash flow, but then that asset is also appreciating. So as that asset is appreciating, then you get to the point where you say, you know what? I'm going to sell these houses and I'm going to buy me a little shopping mall, right? So those are the type of things that you have to put in play, and you don't have to wait until the opportunity comes, because when the opportunity comes, you want to be prepared for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're talking too much about the deals. Let's move over here
Okay.
about the doodads or the markets, or talk about the rules. Which one do you want to do first?
Let's talk about the doodads.
Okay.
Let's talk, because everybody know about doodads. So let's talk
Or the
about
mount,
doodads.
or the market.
Or the market. We're going to talk about both. We're going to talk about doodads and the market.
Um,
So which one
might
you
as
want to
well
talk
get
about first?
started with the doodads.
All right, so let's talk about doodads.
The doodads are like stuff that you do on your early day life, like feed your children, give your children braces, you know, just like say you have to go to, like for celebrate your 3 kids' birthday, celebrate your twins' birthday, celebrate just you know, just yeah, park in handicap zone. So yeah, stuff like that.
So what he's saying is a doodad, right? A doodad is things that you have to pay for in life. Bless you.
Thank you.
Doodad is things that you have to pay for in life, but you really haven't budgeted for them. These are things that just kind of come up, right? Like you parked in a handicapped spot, you run into the store,
Anywhere.
right? You run into the store, you come out, you got a ticket on your car, $150, right? You didn't budget for that. So now it's like, oh man, I got a $150 ticket. Or you out with some friends, somebody called you, say, hey, we're going out for drinks tonight. Then you end up going, you meet them out, you know, at a restaurant or a bar, you all buy drinks. End of the night, you look at your account and you're like, man, I spent $75, but you didn't budget for that. So doodads are things that you really haven't budgeted for, but they're costs that go with life. And some examples are you play around the golf, you buy some new clothes. Like Kobe mentioned, you had a birthday celebration, it's your daughter's wedding, that's $2,000. You had to buy toys for your kids. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones.
Oh.
You went to a concert, the tickets was $180. You went to go see Beyonce, Jay-Z, the tickets was $200 a piece. Buy a big screen
TV for, but I don't know why you have to buy it though.
A
It's probably your
look,
friends.
yeah, a $4,000 big screen TV,
My bad.
right? On a credit card. So even when you buy it on a credit card, what else is gonna happen? You're gonna have interest. So not only are you paying the $4,000 for the big screen TV, but now you're paying the interest on top of the $4,000. So these are what's called doodads. And the reason doodads are in play, as you're going through the rat race and you're playing this game, and you're trying to save money in order to make an investment like what we were just talking about, what happens is doodads, you may have saved $2,000 and you may get this doodad card that says, your daughter's wedding, $2,000. Now the $2,000 that you saved to buy the investment, now you got to pay the $2,000 out. And that might be extreme because you might say, well, I don't have nothing, you know, $2,000 coming up, but okay. You've been saving your money, right? You saving for a down payment on a house, $1,500. All of a sudden you go out, you driving your car down the road, and boom, the car stops. You try to find out what's wrong with the car. The car needs a transmission. How much is a transmission? It's $1,200 or it's $1,500. So if you haven't had that saved, right now you're gonna put it on the credit card. So that's gonna put you even further behind. So those are doodads. The good thing I like about this game, again, in comparison to Monopoly, these doodads are really, really, I would say really true to form in life, because a lot of the things that he has listed as doodads are things that happen in life for real. Son's college tuition, $1,500. These are things that really happen. You buy a cafe latte and a cappuccino for a friend, you splurging now, you spent $12. And you may say that ain't a big deal, but it's a big deal when you're doing it over and over and over and over, when you're trying to save. And what that does is it keeps you in the rat race. Keeps you in the rat race. All right, so what do you want to talk about now?
Let's talk about market.
Let's talk about the market.
Yeah, the market, it goes with the deals. Like say if you got a condo and then all of a sudden, boom, you can keep on getting the same thing. Like you got a condo, got a house, both you got them. You can get out the
Rat race
and get to the fast track and reach your goal. So I got a condo, land on market, get really excited, boom, I don't get a condo, I get a Plex buyer. And then I get it again, then I get the condo. Then I can write that down in my paper and put that on real estate business, down payment. Wait, no, not. We have real estate business, been a long time since I played this, guys.
Hey, but here's the thing. This is what he's sharing with you. This is what my host is sharing with you today. Kobe.
Host?
You the host.
Oh,
I'm the
I thought you
co-host.
said co-host.
No, you the host. You the host. I'm the co-host. Don't get it mixed. Don't get it twisted, man. Don't get it mixed up. So what he's saying is this, again, in life. Now the thing about investments, that's one part of the deal, right? So you saved your money, you bought the condo, or you saved your money and you bought the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, or you saved your money, you bought the apartment complex. Now, what the market is saying is that the market is, that's a business term, and the market is anywhere where goods and services are being exchanged for money, right? So that's the market. So we'll give you another example. StubHub, that's the market. Because on StubHub, some people are bringing tickets to sell, other people are coming looking for tickets to buy. When they find one finds the other, like, hey, I want to go see, such and such game. I want to go to the Super Bowl. They go on StubHub, they find the tickets, they pay the ticket price, money goes to the seller, the buyer gets the tickets, there's an exchange. So here's what happens. You can have an asset that you want to sell, but they may not be a market for it. And an example of that is when you investing in real estate, sometimes it's difficult, it's not impossible, but sometimes it's difficult to purchase a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, and then when it's time for you to resell it, sometimes it's difficult to sell it because it's not a huge market for 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom houses, right? Most people want to have at least a 2-bathroom house or a 1.5 bathroom because one is generated by the women in the house, because women always want to have a separate bathroom from the bathroom that everybody else is, and that's just historical, that everybody else is using, and that's what goes out into the market. So a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house is easier, the market is bigger for you to sell that type of property as opposed to a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. So what this game again teaches you is it gives you different market opportunities, but buying an asset and having an asset is just one part of the equation. The other part of the equation is you have to have the market opportunity in order for you to capitalize on what you want to sell or purchase in the market. So that's what the market is for. Now, the other thing that this game teaches you is that, and the thing, again, keep in mind, and I hope you all are taking notes, I hope you all are really, really taking this to heart, because this is what happens in life for real. This is a real life lesson, right? In a real life situation. So in order for you to get out the rat race, here's the goal. The goal is you have to create enough passive income that equals or exceeds your monthly expenses. Sounds simple enough, but at the same time, it can be challenging. Because let's think about this for a moment. You want to think about how you can create passive income so that way your passive income meets or exceeds your monthly expenses. So what does that mean? That means all of those expenses that Kobe listed, your mortgage, your car note, your student loan, your insurance, you may have a credit card bill, whatever your expenses are for a month. If you go out and create passive income over time, so say like all your bills in a month are $1,000, right? If you create passive income that equals $1,000 or more, guess what? Now you got choices. Now you're not in the rat race because you have money to take care of your bills every month. They take care of all of your expenses. Whether you go to work or you don't go, you have this passive income coming in. Some people do it through network marketing. Some people do it through real estate investments. Some people do it, they'll start a business and they sell a business, right? But as long as you have passive income that meets or exceeds your monthly expenses, you can do whatever you want to do. You can sleep all day, sleep all night. It don't matter because you have passive income to cover your expenses. When you don't have passive income to cover your expenses, that's when you are required to go out and generate active or linear income. Why? Because you have expenses. So here's another way that you can do that even quicker. Eliminate some of your expenses. So if you have a credit card bill that you're paying on every month, pay it off. Now you need less money every month in order to cover your monthly expenses. And you still are trying to generate passive income. I'm 52 years old, haven't mastered this game or haven't mastered the game of life yet, but I'm working on creating more and more passive income. Because I know as I age, right? Because one thing about retirement is this. When you go into retirement, you're going to need additional income. Because guess what? You can't work those long hours. You can't work those 2 jobs. You can't go out and pick up that extra hustle. As you age, you're going to get lower and lower energy. Hopefully you'll continue to be healthy, but you just can't work the long hours you can when you're a young person. So the thing about that is you want to make sure that you are working towards these different things that we're talking about. You want to save, you want to invest, you want to start to generate passive income, you want to understand a small deal or a small opportunity, you want to understand a big opportunity. You want to understand doodads and how to minimize doodads, and you also want to understand the market. And you definitely want to understand the rat race, because that's something that many people in America are in the rat race, and they never get the opportunity in life to get out to the fast track. So we've talked and spent a lot of time about the rat race. You can give us a call if you got a comment, a question from a host, Kobe. If you got a question for Kobe, or if you got a question for the co-host, me, you can give us a call at 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. You can give us a call, let us know what's on your mind, what you're thinking about, and we're going to continue to talk about cash flow. Now, we spent a lot of time. Go ahead, Kobe.
I want to say something.
You got to speak into the mic.
I want to say something. What he said, some people never get out the rat race. Some people, like if you have a plan, some people usually get out. You can get out the fast track. Like you can get out the rat race really fast and go in the fast track. And yeah, I think we should talk more about the board.
Okay, well let's talk more. But before we talk more about the board, listen to what he said. This is an 8-year-old. He said if you have a plan, you can get out of the rat race and get into the fast track. So let's talk about the board. Let's talk about the fast track, because we haven't talked about the fast track. So tell me about the fast track.
The fast track.
What's going down with the fast track?
Opportunity. So
this is the rat race. We're talking about when you get out here. What's the difference between the rat race and when you get out on the fast track?
The difference between this, you have to hustle more. On this, you have money. Usually, you have more money that can pay. Like, say you want to pay on charity. On charity, on this, you get 2 dice to roll. And the only part that I really like the part where you can you can give people money, like, cause I'm that giving person. So you can put C or cheese. Say I want to make a library for kids. I'm probably gonna do that when I get older. I want to make a library for kids. I put that right. Where is it? Over here.
Yeah.
Library for kids.
Right.
Boom.
Boom.
Then I'm already in fast track. I can get started with that. I can be going. Made a library for kids. Then I don't think you can do this in the game, but you could just make another. Since you're in the fast track already, you could give money to African kids. Give money to the poor and stuff like that.
Go. So what he's saying is, when you get into the fast track, once you get out of the rat race, and this is a metaphor for life. Once you get out of the rat race, the other part of the game is this. When you get out on the fast track, then what you have to do is accumulate even more passive income, but you can do it a lot faster because now you're buying businesses. And the other thing about the fast track is broken up between businesses that you can buy and your dreams, right? So he's put things on here like a dream may be to build a library for kids. Another dream may be to golf around the world. Another dream may be
a beauty salon.
A beauty salon. Another dream may be that you want to, have dinner with the president. So they have all these different things, or you may want to buy a forest, or you want to plant trees in, a country that doesn't have a lot of trees. So all of those are things that may be your dream that you want to do in life. But then you also have business opportunities where you're not going to just buy, say, one business, but you're buying, say, a string of businesses. Like you might want to buy a t-shirt business, but instead of you just buying one t-shirt business, you're buying multiple locations of a t-shirt business. You're buying a pizza franchise. You're buying things like biotech. You're buying dry cleaners. So that way, instead of you buying one cleaners, you have like 6 or 7 cleaners, right? And then and your money is just getting larger and larger as you work through it. So the biggest thing that I want you all to take away, because I know a lot of our listeners people that are in our audience on YouTube Live and on Facebook Live and on Instagram, the thing that I want you to take away from this is the kind of conversation we need to be having with our kids every day. So I have my grandson here, I got my nephew over here, Tamon, and the thing that I want to do is make sure that the conversations that we have on a daily bread is something that, and I call him affectionately, I just call him nephew. So one of the things that's really, really inspired me about this show is this. Like, this is my producer's nephew, but I call him nephew. And one of the things that inspires me about him is anytime that he's in the building when I'm getting ready to do my show, he always comes in and he wants to listen to the show, and he's already saying the jingle: educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, motivate, elevate. He's 15 years old, right? So at 15, in 3 more years, he's 18, right? So at 18, he could buy a house at 18. He could buy a condo at 18. He could buy a distressed property at 18. But the fact that he's starting to tune in and listen to what I'm saying, you don't know where that's going to take him in life, and what part is he going to retain as he hears it over and over and over. Now this little guy, he's 8 years old. Now when he gets to be 18, I'm sure he's going to know all of this because we're going to keep practicing, right? The way we practice and we expose kids to what I call foolishness, just imagine if we got a whole group of 8-year-olds. They're learning all the stuff that we talked about tonight. They're learning about savings. They're learning about investing. They're learning about expenses. They're learning about stock.
They're learning about they're learning about like a deal or life and how it's gonna go on and on and on. And then when they learn all that, when they grow up, they just can know what they're gonna do and what they should do in the future. So say like they're in a pickle, so they have like one of the things like I land on one of the games, your wife left you. You have no money left. You'll know what to do, cause you already prepared for that. So yeah, say like you have like a little business in Douglasville and one in Cobb County. You getting money from that and money from the one from Douglasville, and then you'll have money flowing and flowing and flowing. And by the time, like in 2 years, like say they're giving you $50 a year, and in 1 year, how many days in a year?
365.
Yeah, 365. So that means all that money that she probably took will probably be more than what she took, cause and then
hold on, man. You about to get this in trouble. all right, we got that. Okay, man, we got it. We got it. So we about to go. Hey, thank you for coming. God bless. Good night.
Wait, before I leave.
Before I leave,
No, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Turn the mic
I
on.
want to see if I got the touch.
Okay.
Once again, educate, motivate,
Elevate.
educate, motivate, elevate, educate, motivate, educate. That's what you should be doing to your kids, y'all. I see you out there. I see you at the back. I see you at the
He invited
back.
himself back next
I see you at the back.
This is the last show he can come on. But the thing what he's saying is, again, it's just like in the Bible, and we're going to be wrapping up, but this is in the Bible, right? It talks about how innocent, how kids are going to be able to teach us things that we should already know, but this is innocence, right? The stuff that comes from nephew, this is innocence because he hasn't been, I guess you would say jaded from all of the different things that can happen in life. So what we're trying to do now is just take him, take nephew, give them these little things, and not only talk about it in no board game, but we took it a step further and said, okay, you learn the concept, now let's put some money behind that. So instead of, when kids are getting good grades, instead of us just giving them $20, they can go blow somewhere else. Hey, here go $100, go on. And they just learn, just say,
Like
hey.
when I got good grades, I just wanted to get stock because it was just, for some reason, it was just really addicting because it felt like I was a grown up.
So what we did was we switched it up. So as he does well in school, what we did is say, okay, we're not going to give you money, but let's pick another stock that you want to buy, and we'll buy the stock for you at 8 years old. So at 8 years old, and I go out and I speak to people all over the city. At 8 years old, the question I get all the time is, okay, so what do I have to do with the stock? You don't have to do nothing. You literally don't have to do nothing. You can sit there.
You can wait until like you're 20, 26, and then you'll already have money, like I said in this, like I already said, you'll have money to go to college, get a house, be ready for all that and stuff like that. And stock, like I already have 4 stocks, Sony, 2 Target. I already have money in my account. When I can't wait for my next grade because I'm gonna get a good stuff.
So that's all we're doing here on the Daily Bread Radio Show. We trying to do just that: educate, motivate, elevate. Right? Educate, motivate, elevate. So that way, as these young men and young women are starting to grow, because I got a 4-year-old granddaughter. I ain't bring her on yet.
Her name is Marley.
Her name is Marley. But the thing about her, when I teach him, and as our family is teaching him, then what is he going to do? What does Big Brother do?
I'm going to teach my sister what to do early on in her life. So, and plus, she's a young African-American girl, so she can grow up to be something big one day. I already know. I already see it in her eyes. She can be like a business lady. She can go to the best school in town if I teach her hard enough and if she is committed to it.
That's what we're doing over here on the Daily Bread Radio Show. So we got about 6 minutes left in the show, and with that being said, hope you all enjoyed the show.
This is the book of the day. Can I say the title?
Go ahead.
Okay, it's Guild to Investing, but what the rich invest in that the poor and middle class do not. The author is it's by Robert T. Kiyosaki, with
Sharon Lecter.
You should go check them out because I think that I haven't read it yet, but I know when I grow up, I'm gonna browse this book, maybe keep it. I'm gonna read. Imagine if I make my own book. If I read that a million more times, I'm gonna get good at what I'm learning at, Cause I wrote it down. Now it's like my little booklet. Just read it over and over and over again. Then you get better and better again.
So that's the book of the week, The Guide to Investing. And this is by Robert Kiyosaki. And the thing about Robert Kiyosaki, he wrote 3 books, right? So the first one he wrote was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Right? A lot of people know about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The second book that he wrote is called The Cash Flow Quadrant. And what that does is it teaches you about cash flow from being an employee, and also it teaches you the difference between being an employee, what he calls a business investor, right? So he wants you to look at the difference between those areas and look at the taxes that are associated with each one of those quadrants. So that's cash flow quadrant. And then this one, his third book, is called The Guide to Investing, What the Rich Invest in that the low and middle class do not. So when people are putting out information like this, it's up to us to take advantage of it, learn about it, So those are the 4 quadrants: employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor. It's ESBI. So those are the quadrants, and each one of those quadrants, they have advantages and disadvantages. And what you have to start thinking about is, and he tells you, if you're in the employee quadrant, like all of your income is just employee-based, then you're going to be paying the highest taxes, and you're going to have the least amount of opportunities available to you. But if you go cat-a-corner and go straight to becoming an investor, start learning, playing this game, and become an investor in life, then you have bigger tax advantages. Because if you think about it, when the tax code changes, it doesn't change for the employee, it changes for the business owner and the investor. So with that being said, we got 3 minutes left in the show. We want to thank you all.
You're forgetting the game boards.
What happened?
You're forgetting the game boards. Don't
What
forget
game
about
boards?
that. Okay, cash flow for kids.
Oh, okay.
If I get good grades, I know I'm gonna get that.
So we got cash flow for kids. We forgot about the board game.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's something else that you can get, because this is really the adult
For
version.
grown-ups,
For grown-ups.
But since I'm learning about it, I'm gonna get good at it even better. So I could just skip the cash flow for kids. I'm advanced. I skipped the grade. Yes, I'm learning about adult stuff, opportunities. Then when I grow up, like I said, I'll know what to do, and when I'm in a situation.
There you go. So that's what you all have. I hope you all learned something today, because it's definitely about that. It's about us teaching, learning from one another, disseminate that information, and make sure that you're spending time with your kids and your grandkids and teaching them, because all of this, what we're talking about, this is the basics. And if you don't learn the basics when you're young, when you get older, and you still don't understand the basics, guess what? You still have to go out and learn it at some point. So you might as well take some time out, learn it, teach it to your kids and your grandkids while they're young, so that way 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when they do become of age, they will know a lot of this stuff before they even get to, high school, get into college, become young adults. They'll already know what to do, how to do it, because they'll become familiar with the terms. Because that's all it is. The whole thing that we planned is just a game.
It's like this is a test. It's like this is the learning, but then when you grow up and you have to do it yourself, that's the test.
There you go. Drop the mic.
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic. Hey guys,
We
with all
going,
that
man,
being
look.
said, this is the Daily Bread. This is the Daily Bread. It's the Daily Bread.
Oh, we done created a monster.
You know it. This is the Daily Bread. Shout out to all you little kids out there, and all you older kids out there. Watch this show more. Tell the co-host if
Tell them
Take
peace,
back
bro.
this title.
Tell them peace.
Peace.